Hey guitar friends, welcome to All About Guitar Academy. Bob Strom here. You know, I've been playing guitar for 47 years now, quite a while, and I thought that I would share with you today some very helpful tips that I've learned along the way on my guitar journey to help with your guitar journey. So that's coming right up. All right, welcome back. Let's see how many tips I can throw to you here in this short period of time. I'm going to say tip number one is before you start down this path, if you've never played guitar before, you've got to immediately get your mindset right. This is going to be a journey that's going to take some time. I know I tell folks that you can learn guitar in 6 weeks or less, and it's true. I do have a course that does that at my website, but there's a lot more than 6 weeks worth of learning guitar. So it's going to take some time. So right off the bat, the number one thing is you've got to have the right mindset. You've got to be ready and willing to learn. You've got to be ready and willing to go through the pain of getting your fingers able to handle pressing down on the strings of the guitar, getting the right rhythm, learning the chords, all of the things that go with it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun and it's the most rewarding thing I think I've ever done in my lifetime personally, but I'm a little biased because I've been playing guitar and teaching guitar for a long time, but it is worth every bit of energy and commitment that you put into it. So number one is mindset. The second thing that I've learned in all of my years playing guitar is you've got to have the right guitar. So what does that mean? Well, depending on what type of music that you like and what you want to play, you're going to need a guitar that makes the most sense for what you where you eventually want to end up. Now, don't get me wrong, you could start playing classical on a classical guitar, for example, and then decide later down the road you don't want to play classical guitar, you want to play rock and roll. So now it's time for an electric guitar, and all that stuff is good and fine. But when you're first starting out, save yourself some money, some time, pick the right guitar. Now, if you're really unsure what kind of guitar to get, here's a couple suggestions for you. I recommend an acoustic guitar. Now, this is a Martin. They aren't cheap. There are other brands like Fender, Alvarez, Breedlove, Yamaha. I mean, I could go on and on and on. There's so many different brands out there that are great for beginners to start out on. But the main thing you want to do if you get an acoustic guitar, make sure the action on it, now that's the amount of space between your strings and your fretboard, make sure it's low enough so that you don't have to, kill your fingers pressing down on the fretboard. Now, another suggestion is you can start on electric guitar. I highly recommend that if you have injuries or if you're an older person like me and you've got, it's painful to do things with your fingers and stuff like that. There's a lot of us out there that have been through that and are still going through that. So an electric guitar could be the answer. This is my Fender Stratocaster. It was made in Mexico. It's an awesome guitar. I've had it for a long, long time. And I would recommend something like this if you can afford it. This guitar, I think, ran me about $600 to $700. And it's a great guitar. They're easy to take care of. They're easy to play. There's just so many benefits to a Fender Stratocaster. They're lightweight. Now, if your budget is a little bit tighter than that, they also make guitars with the brand name Squier, but they're made by Fender and they're made very similar to the Stratocaster. And then you can go upwards of that. You can go up over $1,000 real easy if you start getting into other guitars like the American-made Fender Strats, Gibson Les Pauls, things like that. But if you're just starting out and you want an electric guitar, you can't go wrong with one of these. I love them. Now, there's other styles of Fender as well. There's Jaguar, Telecaster, lots of different types of guitar. I recommend go to the music store, test some of these out so that you know what you want. Benefits of playing electric guitar are it's easier to press down on the strings, and if you like the kind of music that is played on electric guitar anyway, you've already taken care of that. So nothing wrong with starting out on an electric guitar. Okay, another thing that you're going to want to do just starting out, you're going to want to learn about the anatomy of the guitar, what all the parts are on it, the bridge, the fretboard, the tuning knobs, the strings. It's important that you eventually learn how to change strings on your guitar, unless you can afford a roadie or you want to take it to the guitar shop every time you need new strings. So it's very important to know how to maintain your guitar, how to take care of it, and how to change the strings. So make sure that you cover that eventually early on, preferably, because you're going to break a string now and then, and they also need to be changed when they start to sound dull. These need to be changed, as a matter of fact. Maybe I'll make a video about that next, so we'll see. Also, speaking of strings, you want to get a lighter gauge of strings. You don't want to get something that's really, really heavy. Make sure when you go to the store to buy your strings, you let them know you're a beginner guitar player. They will help you out. They should help you out anyway. Most of the time they do. And get yourself a lighter gauge of strings. Now, once you have that guitar and you've got the right strings on it, and it's easy enough to play that you can press down and play a note, you want to learn strumming. I highly recommend that you learn how to strum on your guitar before you even start making chords, any major chords. The reason you want to learn how to strum is because it's important to be able to keep a rhythm and to keep time, and also so you don't damage your guitar and you're able to actually make the guitar sound like a guitar. And a good strumming pattern, for example, is down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. You don't even have to play any chords with it. You can just do it like this. Down, up, down, 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 up, down. I know that doesn't sound great, but it's really important that you get your strumming hand ready to play guitar, and that you're not attacking the guitar and making your wrist really stiff. And it's not good for your hands anyway. And it's not good for the guitar to do that. So learn how to strum. Learn some strumming patterns. Next thing I recommend that you do is learn some basic, easy chords though. Don't start out with 3 or 4 finger chords. Start out with 2 finger chords. In fact, in my course, Fast Track Guitar, I teach my students using 2 fingers at a time how to create chords. A good example of that is a C major 7 or an A sus2. I mean, these are chords that you can play songs with, but they're not going to be as difficult to learn. You can actually make music with those chords. But as you're learning those chords, you want to be able to strum as well. It's okay to start out going down like that, but eventually you want to go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, that kind of thing. So learn some easy basic chords as you strum. All right, another thing that's really important to do is to only take one thing at a time. We've talked about getting the right guitar, learning how to do this, change the strings, knowing how to strum, knowing how to play some chords. All of those things need to be taken one skill at a time. And I recommend that as you progress on your guitar journey. It is so easy to get overwhelmed and bogged down with all of these different skills to learn, alternate picking, and I could go on and on. There's so many different things, different genres of music. Take one thing at a time. Do yourself a favor, focus on one skill at a time, and then move on to the next. Another thing that I recommend you do early on in your guitar journey is to train your ears. What do I mean by that? What I mean is play a record, play a tape, MP3, however you listen to your music. Find a song that you really, really like, that you want to learn how to play on guitar, and see if you can figure out what note that is, what key that is that they're playing the first 1 or 2 chords. And I know that this might be really tough to do just starting out, but hey, it's important to eventually train your ear how to notice what different chords sound like. I mean, this subject takes me way back. I remember the first song that I really learned on the guitar. It wasn't Smoke on the Water. I think that was the second one. It was actually a song by Foghat, slow ride, and it starts out with an A5 power chord. Okay, I didn't figure that out immediately when I was first starting to play guitar, but I did eventually start to hear that chord at the beginning of the song, and it kind of matched up with some chords I was learning, like an A major, and I was able to figure it out. Once that knowledge came upon me, I was like, wow, I can start figuring songs out. So I highly recommend, the sooner the better, train your ear to recognize notes, chords, melodies, things like that. It'll come in handy down the road. Another thing that's important to learn are the notes on your fretboard. Now, I don't mean to learn the entire fretboard. It's possible to do, but I don't recommend doing that right away. You just need to know what each string is, E, B, G, D, A, E, for example, and where the notes are on the fretboard. E, F, G, A, B, C, that kind of thing. It's called a chromatic scale, going up the fretboard with each note after note, each fret. There's also scales like the minor pentatonic scale. It sounds like this. And that's important to learn early on as well. It's going to help you as you learn to play songs and as you get into playing lead guitar and just jamming with other musicians, which brings me to the next tip. You need to connect with other musicians, preferably musicians that are a little bit better than you, but that you don't feel too out of place when you play with them. Because here's the benefit of that. You're going to learn from each other. It's going to make it easier for you to learn chords while they're learning lead, or they're playing lead and you're playing chords. It's a good trade-off. So I highly recommend connect with somebody else that's learning to play the guitar, a bass player, keyboard player, somebody that you can jam with. You might not sound great right now, but in the long run, it's going to help you. And that brings me to another point. Don't compare yourself to other people. It's okay to listen to somebody else jam, and if they're really good and you're not there yet, don't beat yourself up. Learn from them. If you like them, learn from them, and vice versa. If you've got friends that are just starting out and you already know how to do some things, it's really helpful to teach them. Did you know that by teaching other people to play the musical instrument that you're learning how to play, you automatically get better? It's a fact. So on that same note, I would say play to your strengths. What are you really good at? Focus on that until you master it. You know, Pat Travers had a record out, a live album, I believe it was Go For What You Know. I don't know exactly what he meant by that, but I think it might have meant something like that. If you know what it is, put it in the comments, please. I love Pat Travers, awesome musician. But anyway, go for what you know. Play to your strengths. Don't focus on trying to learn too much, biting off more than you can chew, or trying to compare yourself to somebody else and get out in the deep water before you know how to swim, if you know what I mean. So focus on your strengths. All right, here's another good thing. You're going to get stuck. Sometimes you reach what we call a plateau, to where you feel like you've learned about as much as you can learn. Now what? And when you get there, it's a really frustrating experience sometimes, because if you don't know how to get out of it, you can either end up stuck there for a long, long time, or worse, you can end up quitting. I mean, there's some scary statistics out there about how many beginner guitarists actually give up or fail and don't go back to guitar. Don't do that. So when you feel like you're stuck and you've learned about as far as you can get, it's time to learn something new. Maybe get a book on music theory, learn how to play lead guitar, pick up something like a slide, learn how to play slide guitar. There's so many different things. Learn a new song, learn a new genre. Keep perfecting your skills. Don't get stagnant. You got to keep going. And that brings me to another point. It's okay to take breaks. All right, I had to take a really long break when I injured both my hands and I was unable to play for months and months. It was almost a year. Now, if you have injuries or there's some reason why you have to take a break, you're working long hours, you're traveling all over the world, whatever the case may be, it's okay to slow down and take some breaks, but don't quit. don't stop. Make sure that you come back to your guitar and make sure that you don't let anything get in your way. Where there's a will, there's a way. You can do this, my friend. I've seen so many miracles in the last year with students that I'm teaching and people I'm connected with right here at YouTube, their personal stories. Read some of the comments we have here at All About Guitar Academy. You'll become encouraged and inspired about what people are doing. Don't give up. And here's a thought. Always go back to the blues. Or if you haven't learned the blues, learn how to play the blues on guitar. Such a great foundation and genre to learn, to come back to whenever you're stuck, or if you're wanting to learn something new, learn some blues chords. It works. I mean, the blues, it's where it's at, man. So there's another tip for you. Okay, here's another good one. Build your gear one thing at a time. In other words, as you start buying guitars, like you can see that I've done over the years, make sure you just get one guitar at a time, learn on that guitar, make sure you like that guitar before you go on and buy another one, unless you just got money that's burning a hole in your pocket. I mean, I bought guitars before that just sat there and then just kept buying guitars. And then I realized, hey, I might have an issue here. I'm not giving enough love to this guitar that I bought. So make sure you get one guitar at a time, one pedal at a time, one amp at a time. Build your gear. There's nothing wrong with buying equipment unless you've got so much money that you're just burning a hole in your pocket and you just got to buy something. I would give you that advice. Buy one guitar, one piece of gear at a time. All right, here's a great way to overcome your fear and punch fear in the face, as Sean Cannell says on YouTube. Get out there and gig. Perform what you know in a coffee shop, on stage at church, in a band, at a club, wherever it is, at a park. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just going out on a street corner with your guitar, opening the case, putting it on the ground, and see if you can earn some dough. I mean, all that's going to do is make you a better guitar player, a better performer. And if that's what you eventually want to do, is perform guitar and be able to play on stage, you've got to start doing that as soon as possible. And that brings me to another point. If you want to play and sing at the same time, that's another skill that you need to learn if you don't already know it. In fact, I've got a video I'll put up here, a link that goes to one of my videos about how to learn to play and sing. Hopefully it'll help you. But I wish I would have started earlier on that. I had to learn much later on my guitar journey, and it was kind of hard because I was just thrown out there and had to do it and learn it. But I would recommend do that as soon as you can. Learn to play and sing at the same time if that's something you want to do later on your guitar journey. Another skill that's really important, I would say, on your guitar journey is to be able to write your own songs, write your own riffs, to be able to use the creativity that you have as a musician, as a guitarist, and be able to make your guitar sing out what you want it to do. Now, this is a skill that sometimes takes a while to build, but I focus on this with my students. As a matter of fact, in our fast track guitar course, within the first 6 weeks, my goal is to help them learn a song on the guitar. The sooner you can do that, the better. But if you're struggling with that, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. It'll come eventually, but learn how to write your own songs. In fact, I've got another video. I'll put the link there that you can go to help you get on the path to writing your own songs if that's something that you want to learn to do. All right, finally, what I would say in all my years of playing guitar, the number one thing that you got to do is to have fun. And I say this in all my videos. I say it all the time in my lessons. You've got to have fun. If you're having fun, you're going to get better and better, and it's going to be better. So make sure you're having fun playing guitar. It's such a fun instrument to master and to learn how to play. You can make people laugh. You can make people smile, sing along with you, and you can make them cry. I've seen it all. So make sure that you have fun while you're on your guitar journey. And I can't wait to see you in our next video. Thanks for spending some time with me today, and keep on playing guitar.